Governor Siminalayi Fubara of Rivers State assures residents of the state of peace despite the dispute over local government administration. It says no cause for alarm. Independent National Electoral Commission INEC warns against discrimination and victimization of opposition political parties ahead of the Edo and Ondo governorship elections. Appeals for level playing field. Hello and welcome to Politics Today, reaching you live from our global headquarters here in the nation's commercial nerve center, Lagos. I'm Jeffrey Uzanga. It's the weekend edition of the program, and our hope is that we'll have a great time together tracking whatever is going on in the polity from the north to the south, and that's our responsibility for today on the program. And of course, we're following developments across the courts as a common, but some have been reserved for later in the month, I should say. But today, basically, we'll be focusing on what happened in Kano State yesterday. Some of the people in the north will be joining us on the program to expatiate on what they understand to be the interpretation of that ruling by the Federal High Court, as well as a lawmaker will join us to explore some of the issues that concerns a form of government that is being proposed to maybe possibly replace the type we have today, and also weigh in on some political issues, the political angle to all of the impasse that's going on that we've seen across courts in the country. But first, let's tell you and begin with the assurances coming from the Rivers State Governor, Siminalayi Fubara, that the state is safe and peaceful despite the crisis that rocked the area over local government council administration. He gave the assurance during a visit to Omoma local government area where 2 security operatives were killed in a political clash. Governor Fubara clarified that the state is not under siege, contrary to perceptions from reports of protest and the police takeover of council secretariat. The governor was welcomed by the caretaker committee chairman of the area, Mr. Promise Reginald.
We're in Omoma to inspect a project that we started and to prepare ourselves that maybe in the next 2 months we might likely be coming here to commission this project for the good people of Omoma. That's why we're here. And to also tell Nigerians that Rivers State is peaceful. You can see we're moving about inspecting as against what you see on the screens of your television, that police is everywhere, that we don't move about anymore, that Rivers State is under siege. We're not under siege. The state is free. And if at all there is any problem in the state, I know quite all right that Nigerians know where the problem is coming from, not from us.
Well, still in Rivers State, the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress in that state are asking the police who have taken over the local government secretariats in the state to vacate the council premises. The demand was made following an emergency state administrative council meeting at the NLC Secretariat in Port Harcourt. The meeting addressed 3 key issues. They call it the Constitution, an inauguration of caretaker committee in the 23 local government areas, the call by the All Progressives Congress for a state of emergency in the state, and the police takeover of the council secretariat. The NLC chairman in the state, Alex Agwangwo, acknowledged the police effort to maintain peace, but stated that denying workers access to their offices is a breach of their rights.
So both NSMTs to call on the petitioner of police to immediately direct the Commissioner of Police, Rivers State Command, to allow legitimate workers of the various local government councils to access their offices. Unanimously uphold the ultimatum issued by the Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees, NOGE, for the Nigerian police to vacate and allow unfettered access of local government workers to access their offices without further delay. The council in session unanimously condemned in strong terms the purported call for a state of emergency in Rivers State, by some supposed political leaders of the state, which in all ramifications do not wish Rivers State people well. While we appreciate people's rights to self-opinion, it is also important not to allow our self-centeredness override our sense of reasoning.
Sincere apologies for that glitch. But let's move on now. That as campaigns continue in Edo and Ondo State ahead of the governorship elections in those two states, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is cautioning ruling political parties and their candidates against denying their opponents access to public facilities for their campaigns and rallies. A statement by the chairman, Voter Education, Mr. Sam Olumekun, explains that the warning is against the backdrop of situation in the past, where ruling political parties deny opponent access to public places such as stadia, open spaces, as well as total denial or restricted access to state-owned media, including radio and television stations. The electoral body also warns against the imposition of excessive levies and fees for outdoor and media advertising, and even the removal of vandalization of opponents' posters. INEC urges the political parties to comply with provisions of the electoral laws, which prohibits the use of state apparatus to the advantage or disadvantage of any political party or candidate during an election. So we've seen what's been going on in Edo State and the complaints. So perhaps INEC is swooping in as quickly as possible to make sure that everybody has a playing ground and as much as possible. Now, in the meantime, the Ondo State government is has reacted to the nullification of the creation of the LCDA by late Rotimi Akeredolu administration. Says it has taken cognizance of that decision by the court. The Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice in the state, in a statement, explains how it has obtained and studied the certified true copy of the judgment, which will allow for legal opinion to the state government. It adds that all necessary measures in line with the laws will be taken to safeguard the interests of all citizens and uphold the rule of law. The Ondo State High Court had recently declared that the 33 Local Councils Development Authority created by former Governor Rotimi Akeredolu was unconstitutional, unlawful, null and void for failing to follow due process. So those are some of the stories we're tracking, but that's not all. We'll bring you our political roundup stories, and then we'll start our big conversation for the day.
The House of Representatives Committee on Public Petition has issued a final summons to the GMD of the Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited, Mr. Mele Kyari, after he failed to honor previous invitations. The committee chairman, Michael Etaba, was visibly upset, stating that Mr. Kyari has repeatedly disrespected the House with his refusal to honor invitations. Honorable Etaba further directed that Mr. Kyari must appear on June the 26th, or the House will be compelled to invoke its legislative powers. Also summoned is the general manager of Ajib Oil Company, the NNPCL, and Ajib are to answer questions following a petition alleging a debt of 80 million naira owed to a private company.
We'll just give them a short adjournment, and this adjournment will be 26th of June 2024. 26th of June 2024. If they fail to appear, then we will invoke our powers as legislators and as a committee and as a house.
The People's Democratic Party, PDP, Edo State chapter has resolved to expel the National Vice Chairman South Dan Obi former Deputy Governor of Edo State, Phyllis Shaibu, and former Oedo Federal Constituency Representative in the House of Representatives, Morigie Ogbeide-Ihama, for alleged anti-party activities and gross misconduct. The resolution follows an emergency meeting of the State Working Committee called at the instance of the Edo State Chairman of the PDP, Anthony Azegbemi, at the party secretariat in Benin City. Also contained in the communique issued at the end of the meeting and signed by the State Publicity Secretary, Ogie Vasco, the party commended members for the active participation in the recent continuous voter registration exercise in Edo State. A Niger Delta advocacy group under the aegis of Urashi Economic Summit Group is calling on the federal government to, as a matter of urgency, do everything possible to improve the well-being and living standard of the people of the Niger Delta region, especially the oil-producing communities of Ahaji Egbema and Okuta in Imo State. Speaking in Owerri, the Imo State capital, the head director, Mr. Echikechukwu, notes that the federal and state government is not doing enough in improving the living standard of the people of the oil-producing communities in the Niger Delta, noting that the federal government needs to pay more attention to the people's welfare by providing adequate and basic infrastructure for the people.
I believe the government has not done enough. I think and I believe that the president of this country today should look into these communities that produce oil.
Welcome back. There are two major issues I want to explore with my guests. One is his take and political perspective on what's been going on in Rivers State, as well as the proposal for parliamentary and regional government, which is being one of those at the vanguard. He joins us from our Abuja studio. He's a member representing Idiaton North and South Federal Constituency, Honorable Ikenga Ogochinyere. Honorable Ikenga, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so I know that the G60, let's begin because I heard one argument sometime about G60, whether you're really up to 60 or not. Maybe you clarify that. I know you lead the G60 and you've been at the vanguard of a couple of issues of national interest, but are you up to 60?
I think now we're more than 60.
Okay. I just needed to put that on the record. Now, let's begin with you've been seeing what's been playing out across the polity, both North and South, but because you're a member of the People's Democratic Party, we'll stay focused with what is going on in Rivers State, the political angle for you. We've observed as well that since this incident started, this face-off between the governor and his predecessor, or godfather as it is, not much in terms of the state leadership of the party. We've seen some level of, defense or them speaking up, or maybe in favor of the governor and all of that, or anyone they want to speak in favor of. I think the first time we saw the PDP in the state was the issue that has to do with them being joined in a particular suit that was brought before the court. So what's your assessment of how the state party, the party at the state level, and maybe at the federal level, is internalizing, intervening in this particular crisis in Rivers State?
To be frank with you, this is one of the painful moments our intra-party democracy is going through. And without missing word, our party leadership at the national and at the state level have been highly compromised as it has to do with Rivers. You have a party leadership that have refused to step forward to condemn the key actors who have made this situation very difficult for our party and wants to steal the mandate of the party. You have a party leadership that deliberately, despite the alarm that was raised, appointed caretaker committee for our party in Rivers, led by members of APC. If you remember, I raised this issue. They said they were going to step it down at the NEC meeting in the middle of the night. They came up and said they have an expert order, which none of us have seen, and went ahead and published these people as officers of our party. So when you ask me, why is it that much is not coming from the PDP? I will ask you, which PDP? Because the people that are there are not members of PDP, and that is why they cannot stand up to defend the interests of our party. We have a party leadership that is unable to know where to draw a line between their personal affiliation with one of the key actors in this whole crisis, which is the FCT minister, and the interests of our party. You are even aware that they were supposed to conduct the election to bring a substantive chairman by August. But while we are sleeping, they have issued another notice that until September. So deliberately, they don't want the party to move forward. They want to destroy the party. Let me tell you, even today, if you remember, during the days of Asiwaju, just with AC to ACN. He led a strong opposition movement that crystallized to a mega alliance that defeated our party. But now you have some of our governors and our party national leadership. They don't even want to mention the name Fubara with their mouth because they are so scared. Maybe the FCT minister will not be happy with them. Normally, governors elected on the platform of opposition party are supposed to have stormed rivers in solidarity with our party. But they don't care because they're elevating some of their personal affiliation above the interest of survival of opposition in the country. So this whole thing to me is a joke. The party is not doing anything, not to even say they are doing much or not. They are not doing anything in terms of speaking with strong voice, in terms of coming forward to insist. In short, as a matter of fact, as we are aware, you saw our party going to the low level of filing an application in court to even say that those who have left our party are still members of our party so that they can help them get legitimacy to remove our party in office in Rivers. It's so painful. And it's so painful that these are the same people that have swore to affidavit. Thank God I even came with it to this your studio. They swore to affidavit in court that on December 11, 2023, that they have left the People's Democratic Party to join APC. But our own party, in their own affidavit, is saying they have not left so that they can get a court order that will help them to remove Fubara from office. So this whole thing is a joke and is a low level for opposition politics in Nigeria. Never in the history of opposition politics anywhere in Africa can a political party abandon its own vision, abandon its own agenda in pursuit of interest that is personal and cannot help to the growth of democracy.
But do you think that they should take sides with the governor or they should intervene in the issue of the party itself? The FCT minister, as we speak, although he's serving under the APC administration, he's still a member of the PDP. The governor is still a member of the PDP. There are some lawmakers who are still members of the PDP and others, it's a subject of adjudication, so I'm careful, who have defected and the issue of whether or not they've defected. So it's a gamut of issues. Is it about taking sides or is it about coming to intervene, whether at the state level or at the federal level?
There's no need for any intervention here. First of all, you have elected members of your party, 27 of them, who got up one morning without any division in your party, say they are no longer members of your party, and claim that because there are discussion for merger between NNPP and Labour Party, they have left. That doesn't amount to division. And then they moved into another party, changed all the laws. They were amending laws that will make sure your party does not survive in Rivers, including making attempts to impeach your governor. There will be no intervention. The line has been clearly drawn on this particular matter. Then you have a member of your party, a former governor, who has benefited immensely from the party as a local government chairman, as a chief of staff, as a minister, as a governor. The party gave him enormous platform to reach the height he is today. But he decides to work for the ruling party that doesn't want your own party to survive, and then boldly goes publicly to say that his commitment is to ensure that your political party, the PDP, does not come anywhere near winning any presidential election till after 2027. So there cannot be any intervention. They are no longer members of the party. They have declared war on the party. They are committed to destroying the party. So what you do is to protect what you have. But because you are in bed with him, you don't want to even protect your party. You just want the party to be dead. You don't want the party to move forward so that they can execute the assignment they have been given. So there's no need for any intervention here because they have clearly said they don't want the party to win. They don't want the party to survive beyond 2027. So what are you intervening? It's on video. I watched it on your TV during their Thanksgiving or reception in Rivers. They said it clearly. So it is now left for the national leadership of the party to say, no, this is not what this party was set up to do. Because you are not aligning with the vision of the party, because you don't want the party to win the election, which is one of the functions of political party, and because you don't want the party to be a strong opposition party, give way. But our own political party is even giving them the legal backing and giving them the enabling environment for them to continue the anti-party activity to the extent of filing cases in court to aid them. So we don't have a party leadership. We just have, people that APC have imposed on us and want to continue to impose on us with the sole aim of ensuring that we don't go anywhere beyond the place where we are today.
So before we get to other issues, what do you think should be the right, for instance, if you're given the opportunity to say, what are the 1, 2, 3 steps that should be taken to protect your party, what would they be?
First of all, I said our governor needs to stop sleeping. If you watch my statement today, it was very clear that while the opposition bases in Kano and Rivers is under attack, some of the leaders of our party are drinking champagne with those who want to kill the party. That our governors must behave like governors of 99, governors of 2007, and step forward and provide leadership and stop hobnobbing with those who doesn't want us to survive, including the leaders of the party. Speak up, stand up, show solidarity in support of the opposition movement in the country. And as a matter of fact, the national chairman needs to give way for the North Central to assume their rightful position as spelled out in our party constitution, so that the process of reforming and rebuilding and reconciling and uniting can commence in the party. And also, more importantly, that what needs to be done is that the federal government needs to understand that these things that are happening, these people that are claiming to be working for the federal government are actually pushing their political interests. They are fighting for political survival, whether in Kano, whether in Rivers. They are not working for Tinubu. And that let's not have a repeat of the crisis of the 60s and the 1983, where the Federal High Court and the police were used by those who are close to federal government then, and that led to serious constitutional crisis that even led to collapse of democracy. That let's not have a repeat of that. Let the federal government be able to call these people to order, because they're on a mission that is personal, it has nothing to do with the federal government.
So I got a release from the caucus of the People's Democratic Party in Rivers State, and they are not happy with you, apparently, from what I see. They consider you that more like you're meddling in the affairs of the state that is not, your state, Imo State. They say your state has myriads of issues in terms of your political party, and you're not paying attention to it. They say you've thrown caution, decorum, and responsible conduct expected of your high office to the wind. What's your response to this?
I don't want to dignify such things with a response, because
they are your colleagues.
The authentic Rivers, the authentic Rivers caucus have issued a statement today, and that is the one led by Right Honorable Abiante. He has issued a statement and have disowned that statement. You have Boma, part of it. You have Honorable Anderson there. You have Mona Chim. You have Emerengwa, and other committed Rivers federal lawmakers who belong to that caucus. So they have issued a statement, and I think that statement is out there in the public. And if you Google it, you can see that the Rivers House of Rep caucus have disowned that statement. And for the fact that they have disowned that statement, that is not coming from them, and they have reaffirmed confidence and appreciation for many years of sacrifice in defense of democracy, that is very consoling, and I will not want to dignify anybody that is seeking my attention with a reply on that matter.
Let's now go to the other issue where we brought you here, talking about your proposal for regional government. It's been around for a while, that conversation, and you have been at the vanguard of it. So my natural question to you will be, what exactly is wrong with this form of government that you're proposing a different form for us?
What the form we're proposing is very simple. Is a 6-year single-term presidency that will rotate between North and South, and also all elections in one day. And the reason is very simple. Our electoral process has been so bastardized. The credibility and the outcome over the years is difficult for people to believe in because of desperation of political actors. And we now say that if we have all election in one day, it will save us cost and also bring all stakeholders together. It means that, candidates, agents of candidates for the 5 elections that we hold the same day, we even bring the number of people in the polling units to almost 50. Everybody will turn out. It will reduce the level with which, election materials are hijacked, and it will ensure massive participation from everybody. There will be vigilance, and that will also help in ensuring that once accreditation figure is used to announce, for instance, the first segment of the election, which is maybe the State House of Assembly, that puts a cap on the accreditation, and it cannot change by the time you get to counting of presidential or governorship election result. That will help us to ensure a credible outcome. And also, we're insisting that there must be adequate punishment for election officials that announce results that are false or that was not electronically transmitted, 7 years with option of no fine, that there must be serious consequences to help to discourage them. And then we say that the conversation and money that goes into re-election, which you are aware is costing so much and is distracting government, that we can have a 6-year single term, and then also in order to de-escalate political tension about power rotation and sharing in the country, which also affects governance, that let power constitutionally rotate between North and South, and when it comes to South, it goes to the geopolitical zones there, and when it goes to North, it rotates among the geopolitical zone there. We will reduce costs, we will reduce this conversation that is distracting us, and we focus on development. And in order to ensure that it's a 6 years uninterrupted development phase, that everything about pre-election matter of who is the rightful candidate, the rightful party leadership, who won the primary or not, should be decided 30 days to election. And after election, every conversation in court should be about the outcome of the election, not about pre-election issue. And issues about post-election litigations should be decided before swearing in the person into office, so he doesn't get into office and start using government money and resources to try to remain in office. By so doing, it means that once you win the election, from the day you are sworn in, you have 6 uninterrupted years to govern, and at the same time maintaining political stability and removing distraction. And that there should be office of 2 vice presidents. The reason is this: to avoid a repeat of what happened during the time of death of Yar'Adua and Jonathan, that in the case that the president dies or is impeached or removed, the second vice president, who is the succession vice president, will be sworn, even if it's a day to the expiration of their tenure, to complete what is remaining of that tenure without recontesting. And in order to reduce the cost of running government, that vice president will be a minister. So once a vice president succession from Abia, for instance, there will be no minister from that state. You will be the minister from that state, just like a crown prince waiting to assume office as president in the event of impeachment, incapacitation, or removal. With that, we can save costs, we'll ensure inclusivity of everybody in the political process, clean up the electoral process, and move to development issue, which is the most important thing that Nigeria should be discussing now.
Do you think, now, perhaps you're talking about regional government, if I understand you very well. Do you think that...
No, it's not regional. It's not regional. It's not regional. It's still presidential. But okay, the rotation is ensure inclusiveness and stability. Yes.
Do you think that's really our problem as a country, or the issue of good governance should be what we should be driving at?
Well, this is not all the issues affecting Nigeria, but the conversation has to start somewhere in terms of political restructuring and reforming of the system of government. You cannot even have conversation about government and development without a credible electoral process that throws up leaders who have the capacity to bring those developments you are looking for. That the leadership recruitment process, how people emerge to be leaders, and how they continue to maintain that political power is also important in helping development. Look at what is happening all over the country. Development conversation is not much. It's about politics, left and center. We feel that if we bring in political stability, if we bring in inclusion and so on and so forth, maybe we can grow past these political distractions and focus on governance and restore the will of the people to choose. And once that will is restored, leaders may start behaving more responsible as they are doing, very responsible more than they are doing now. So there's a lot of problems that is affecting the country, huge problems. But we have to start somewhere from having this conversation. That is why our reform is not just about political reforms. We have economic reforms, social reforms, and other reforms that we're going to take. It's about 50 amendment proposal. We just released 6. In the coming weeks, we are going to release the other ones to understand that it's a multifaceted approach to solving our problem. It's just our contribution. There's other, is not like something that must be done the way we want, but we just want to bring up conversation that it is high time we restructure not just the political leadership level, the economic and so on and so forth, to be able to move forward, including issues of local government administration, which if we're done, will help to engineer accelerated development at the rural areas and help to increase economic growth.
I'm going to come to that issue of local government in just a moment, which has been the issue in Rivers State and some other places as well. You heard what happened in Ondo, where the LCDA was nullified by a court for not being constitutional, null and void, and all of that. But in the House, from the conversations you're having as a member of the House, what feelers are you getting in terms of support for this particular piece of legislation you are trying to propose?
Well, we've been able to reach a lot of our colleagues, and the conversation has been positive. And we're doing this ahead of the second reading, which is critical to the survival of this proposal. And we believe that our colleagues also agree that the need for us to find a way to build stability in the system. We're hoping and praying that our colleagues will help us see this through.
Now, let me ask that question of local government before I delve into other issues, which has been a bone of contention. And we've constantly repeated the fact that there's no provision for caretaker committee or any form of administration in that matter as far as the Section 7, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution as amended is concerned. But the law also gives states the power to guarantee the establishment of elected, democratically elected officials. But we've seen states creating all forms of systems to have people at the local level. In going forward and amending the Constitution, don't you think it's time for the Constitution, which is our ground norm, to be very specific and emphatic about how local government administration should be managed without prejudice to the case in court, between the federal government and the states?
Yeah, we have gone through this before we even came to the parliament. Previous parliament have made attempts in cleaning the local government system, but the problem that we always run into is the non-cooperative attitude of the state House of Assembly, who most times are appendage of their governor, even to the extent of this autonomy issue have been there since 1999 to today. And this 10th Assembly is also working in cleaning the local government system. Sure, there's even proposal by different people that their election should be conducted by the federal INEC because the people don't have confidence in what most of the state electoral commissions are doing. That most times it looks like they end up announcing one particular party as winners of the election. So yes, without any prejudice to the ongoing amendment proposal by some of my colleagues, yes, there is conversation and there are proposals on the table to see how we can make it truly independent so that all these issues can be resolved. Because once the local government system is working effectively, it will be a kind of engine room to accelerate economic growth that will help the Nigerian economy and employment problems to be solved. That conversation is on, and then but at the same time, while we're looking for that solution, that cannot also, like the reverse race, give room for House of Assembly or anybody to sit down and then look at the tenure of elected local government chairmen that have expired and then give them tenure extension. Such a thing is unknown to any democratic state because tenure limit is something that is sacrosanct, and somebody cannot be elected for 3-year tenure and then in the midnight of expiration of his tenure, you run into 2-bedroom in Emoha and change the local government law and say the person can remain in office forever. I think also that is the same thing with the caretaker you are commending. We should to allow that one, that is worst because it means that a state assembly can pass a resolution and extend the tenure of the governor forever, and the National Assembly can also extend the tenure of a president forever. So such a thing should be discouraged in any democratic setting. And even the issue of the rivers you're talking about, the state ISEC have announced its plan to conduct election. But this political crisis and the confusion thrown into that system and multiple litigations by those who wanted to seize that layer of government by force caused all this confusion that you see that created this lacuna.
Well, I can't wind down the conversation with you without trying to, it's 25 years since the National Assembly was formed in 1999. So I'm going to do two-part assessment within the short time we have. For you, 25 years, what has been the highlight? And 1 year under President Bola Tinubu, what has been the highlight as well as the low point in both scenarios?
Well, democratically, you cannot have a functional democratic system without a parliament. As a matter of fact, the history of parliament system from the time of the French Revolution in about 1776 or thereabout have been about people, a platform for the people and a platform for the people to engage and be able to ensure that the commonwealth is well protected and the interest is also well protected. In short, any democracy without a parliament is not a democratic system at all. So 25 years, they have played roles that were also helpful, and at the same time there are some shortfalls that also needs to be worked upon, and that shortfall was also caused by the electoral system that has not been very effective, that have seen people who may not share those strong commitment to get democracy to work perfectly were being elected into parliament in the past. So strongly I believe, yes, things have not fared very well, but going forward, things can also improve. And 1 year under the present regime, one of the big things we have enjoyed in the parliament today is unity and stability. Members were able to come together to understand that Nigeria is facing a critical moment and it's time for joint effort for us to put our individual differences aside across. Even if you watch, you have high number of opposition people, but then I said, okay, let's constructively criticize, but let's support government to be able to pull Nigeria out of the challenging economic problems we have today and be able to make life better for our people. So in terms of stability, in terms of harmonious working relationship, and in terms of effective legislation, we have done that to help government to be able to move forward. But there's still a lot that needs to be done.
Absolutely. Honorable Justin, in about 1 minute, a straight question. Nigerians will be looking forward to a day when the National Assembly will begin to debate issues around how to reduce the cost of governance, beginning with the National Assembly. We saw the budget presented by the President of the National Assembly as well as other institutions of government. The National Assembly increased that budget, and Nigerians were screaming. Nobody seemed to listen. And I've had conversations with lawmakers like you, and most of them defending the position of the National Assembly that is an institution. But to Nigerians, sometimes it feels like The lawmakers are divided on other political issues, but when it comes to certain things that are like the largesse, like the cars and increase of budget, everybody keeps none. That's the perception. How does the National Assembly intend to manage this to win back the interest of the people and the confidence of the people? Because that's the perception.
Well, I have to be honest with you. This conversation had been here before we came, and it's a conversation that is what to be handled. And that is why if you look at the 10th House of Rep legislative agenda of the Tajuddin Abbas and Benjamin Khaled leadership, one of the key things we agreed that we're going to do, especially during this constitution amendment process, is about reducing the cost of running government. Proposals are now on the table, and I can assure you that you should give us that confidence, you should give us that trust that this 10th Assembly will do something remarkably in terms of reducing the cost of running government across all board, not just in Parliament, in executive and judiciary.
I can tell you that Nigerians would like to see it start with the Parliament. Trust me. You just need to ask questions around the street because they are always on fire. They're always getting the flags when it comes to budgets and all of that. But I must thank you, Honorable Ikenga Ogochinyere, the member representing Idiato North and South Federal Constituency in Imo State. Thank you so much for your time and insights on the subject we've dealt with so far. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll switch gears to what's going on in Kano. We'd like to hear from all sides, the interpretation from the key players as far as that is concerned, the Emirate tussle that we've been talking about for a while and the decision of court. Join us again.
Your time. Now Olumide Akpata Oludi. See us we dey like beans and rice. Edo people, I will never leave your side. I will never ever. I dedicate my time forever. Time to you, my people. Even if the road be rough, I know mine. 'Cause together we shall stand.
Make we all come out on election day and vote Olumide Osaigbavo Akpata, Una guy, as governor of Edo State. He ready to change our story and bring better life for we and our pikin them. Vote Labour Party, the party for Papa, Mama and pikin. Make we vote well, oh. Oludi, confirm. Now you be our guy. Labour Party, forward ever.
Olumide Akpata.
It is new, it is unique and of international standard. Maduka University. Maduka University, a modern university of international standard with modern facilities for learning, committed to training entrepreneurs across different fields of human endeavor, offers admission to students in different courses such as law, accounting, medical lab science,
cyber security, mechatronics,
mass communication, nursing, pharmacy, ICT, computer engineering, civil engineering, JUBE program, and a lot more. Maduka University is located in an environment of serenity, safety and security at Ekwebe Nsukka, Enugu State. For more inquiry, visit our website madukauniversity.edu.ng or call 0805 509 1802 or 0915 789 3107. Maduka University, the place for the transformation you seek.
The Duchess International Hospital caters to every aspect of the family's health needs. a one-stop shop for maternity and child health services, emergency medicine and critical care, medical and surgical subspecialties, dental and eye care, and a range of other subspecialties and services, all available at a single location right here in the heart of Ikeja. And it really doesn't matter if you're paying out of pocket using your HMO or private insurance. We focus completely on providing that world-class affordable healthcare for all the family at all times.
Welcome back. Let's now switch gears to the conversation around Kano State. I'm being joined in the program by a legal practitioner, Mr. Abba Hakima. He joins us from our Kano studio. Thank you so much for coming on the program, as well as Mr. Sanusi Bature, the Chief Press Secretary to the Kano State government. He joins us from our Abuja studio. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, just in about 30 seconds, let me establish a few things for the purpose of the audience. Now, there is, of course, everybody knows what's going on with the tussle about the emirship in Kano and the legislation that was changed, and then Mohammed Sanusi reinstated as the emir of Kano, deposing Ado Bayero. But the two monarchs are laying claim to that seat. But I want to show you the piece of the legislation that was changed, not the amended one. So, Section 3 of the Kano State Emirates Council law is where that was effected. Section 3, subsection 1. That is what was changed. There's hereby established for the state 5 distinct emirates, namely, and you can see all of the names of the emirates. If we go to Section 5 of the this particular law that was later changed this year, you can see Section 5, where it is said that the chairmanship will be rotational among the 5 emirs of the Emirates, and the sequence of which is to be determined by the governor. The next section, which is Section 2, 5.2 rather, also talked about the period under which somebody who is a council chairman will serve for a period of 2 years. So this is the old law. There is a new law that was amended to change some of these things. That's why we're having this conversation, because we have issues of litigation and adjudication still ongoing, and we have this gentleman. So let me start with you, Mr. Sanusi Bature, the Chief Press Secretary, on this one. We saw what played out yesterday, and people giving their own different interpretation of what has happened. Oh, that Sanusi has been removed, His Royal Highness Sanusi has been removed, and Royal Highness Ado Bayero has been restored. What is the government making of this? What is really the statement or the position, enforceable decision of court that we saw from the government end now?
Well, first of all, people need to understand that yesterday's judgment is in our favor because for a number of reasons. One, the judgment accepted the validity of the repeal law 2024. So therefore, that invalidates the 5 emirates and also deposed the 5 emirs in Kano. So therefore, at the moment, and based on yesterday's judgment, Aminu Ado Bayero and other 4 rural emirs were officially deposed, and they should remain deposed until the determination of the appeal that was filed by us. And the second thing is that because the law is validated, Sanusi is already at the palace, working as the 16th emir of Kano. The judge also said that he stayed proceeding. So therefore, the stay of proceeding give us an opportunity to maintain Sanusi at the palace and continue to render all the services of an emir until the main substantive matter is determined. And at the same time, the whole controversy started with the law. And there is no reason any court can fault the law established by a state assembly or National Assembly, because there is a separation of power. And those 3 arms of government, the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature, work independently, even though they are interwoven as arms of government. So therefore, The judge was able to validate the law established by Kano State House of Assembly, and to us it's a plus because whatever we do, or whatever we did previously was basically because of the new law. So therefore to us it's a plus, and we welcome the judgment, and we await for the appeal on this matter.
Let me come to you, Mr. Hikima. Your take on this particular issue. The reason why we are having your take, because these things can be subject to multiple interpretation. But as people in the know, you have access to the final document. What's your position?
Well, first of all, I don't think it is correct to say that there's any contradiction or any misunderstanding in the law. The judgment, or the ruling rather, of the Federal High Court given yesterday was very clear. In fact, the certified true copy of that ruling is currently going round on the social media and what have you. And it is clear that the first order given by that court is that all actions taken pursuant to the 2024 Kano State Emirate repeal law are set aside, and that the second order was that does not affect the validity or invalidity of the law made, because it is a subject of the substantive suit which is still pending before the court. So there's currently no final judgment on the validity of that law made in Kano State. It is still being contended, although proceedings have been stayed. So it is not correct, with all due respect. We have a duty to tell people what is the truth, what is the true position. It is there. Everybody can verify that is not the position of the law, first of all. Secondly, the courts also have power. In spite of the doctrine of separation of powers, as said by the Sanusi Bature, who is somebody I respect, courts of law in Nigeria have the power, in spite of that line of separation of powers, to also come in and say, okay, so action done by the executive or so action done by the legislators is not correct, or should be suspended, or should be stayed. And this is clearly what this Honorable Court said, whether rightly or wrongly, and whether the Federal High Court has jurisdiction or not. The court was very clear on the 23rd day of May when it said that all parties before the court, and these parties include the Kano State government, all parties were asked and directed and ordered by the court to maintain status quo ante bellum. What this means is that they should maintain the state of affairs as they existed before the passage and assent of that law. What this means was that before that law was passed and assented to by the governor, we have 5 emirates in Kano State, and the Federal High Court now said everybody should go back to that state of affairs. That's what it means, what literally, maintenance of status quo ante bellum implies. So there's a duty on the government of Kano State and the governor of Kano State and all the stakeholders to ensure that the orders of the court are maintained. It is not correct, in my own humble opinion, that there's any misinterpretation or there's any quagmire or any confusion. These orders of court are clear, they are out there for all to verify, and there's a duty on all persons and authority throughout the Federal Republic of Nigeria to respect orders of court. So, Section 287 of the Constitution of Nigeria is clear that all persons in Nigeria, all authorities must respect orders of court. That is the only way we can have a democracy. That's the only way we can have a system. If people of authority decide to...
If you can hear me, if I may button, because of time.
Respect orders of court or flout orders of court, we can't have a system.
Okay, if I may button, you're the lawyer, so you help us out here. So, based on what you said, because there are 2 follow-up questions I want to ask before I go to Mr. Bature. Based on what you said, by your own judicial understanding of the law, who is the Emir of Kano in the eye of the law right now?
In the eyes of the law, the Emir of Kano is Aminu Ado Bayero, because the law, portion to which Emir Sanusi was appointed, has been put in abeyance by the Federal High Court. The court says yesterday, all actions taken pursuant to the 2024 law, one of which is the appointment of Emir Sanusi, have been set aside. The court has clearly said that. That's order number 1 given yesterday. And even before that,
All right. My apologies.
Court,
I'm trying to crunch in as much.
Of May,
my
sincere apologies, ordered for maintenance of status quo antebellum. So using these two orders of the court, which are very clear and explicit, you could clearly beat your chest and say the Emir of Kano, in the eyes of the law and law-abiding people, is Aminu Ado Bayero.
Just the last one before I go to Mr. Bature. But there is this argument, including, I read something from Leonard Silk, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, that the Federal High Court sitting over issues of traditional institution is a jurisdictional overreach. Isn't it correct, or is it correct? So maybe you help us out here. It's supposed to be a state affairs at the State High Court, not an FHC issue.
If you ask me personally, I will also say that chieftaincy matter is a very straightforward issue. It has been well litigated in Nigeria, and it is the state high courts that have jurisdiction. But the jurisprudence we practice in Nigeria is such that whenever an order of court is handed down, whether rightly or wrongly, that order must be respected. And that's why you have appeals. That's why you have the hierarchy of courts. If you're not happy with an order given, or if you think an order has been given without jurisdiction, you can appeal. But you cannot just go, take your own positions and say, the court does not have jurisdiction, and then begin to help yourself. There's no self-help in our jurisprudence. You can only appeal an order of court if you're not happy with it. So whether or not that order has jurisdiction, I believe it doesn't also, but the right thing to do is to obey the court. Court orders must be obeyed whether rightly or wrongly, and that's why you have judicial mechanisms for challenging orders of court where they are made wrongly. And that's appeal.
My sincere apologies. Mr. Ekima, my sincere apologies. Because of time, I may have to butt in. My sincere apologies. So that Mr. Bature can have it. So, Mr. Bature, I'm sure you have response to him.
Yes, correct.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, okay. First of all, I am really very surprised to hear from a lawyer that Aminu Bayero is still the Emir of Kano. Why? Because of that sentence from the court judgment. This does not affect the validity of the law. What I'm trying to say here is that by accepting the validity of the 2024 law, it means that anything pre-2019, we are back to pre-2019, and there was no Aminu Ado Bayero in 2019 as an emir. And what people doesn't understand, Aminu Ado Bayero has never been an emir of Kano. Was appointed an emir of 8 metropolitan to local government. He was never an emir of Kano. And today, the law is the law for Kano Emirate. The entire 44 local government are under one united emirate in Kano State. And Aminu was never an emir of Kano. That is one. And the second issue is that we appealed because we believe Federal High Court has no jurisdiction in chieftaincy affairs. So therefore, and for the reason the judge for the Federal High Court said he stayed proceeding is because he wants the appeal court to determine the issue of jurisdiction. So therefore, at the moment, you cannot say there is no circumstance that you can accept Aminu Bayero as an emir. Aminu was an emir of 8 metropolitan local government, which has been abolished by the new repeal law 2024, which the current court did not invalidate. So therefore, by making the law valid, it means anything that violates that law is null and void. So therefore, there is no Rano, there is no Bichi, there is no former metropolitan emirates, and there is no Gaya, there is no Karai. At the moment, you only have Kano Emirate, which covers the 44 local government. And I have listened to a lot of interpretations from most senior lawyers, SAN and what have you. There was never, even within the lawyers of the lawyers defending or the lawyers that filed this case of Aminu Babadang Awundi, they never agreed and they never concurred. They never said Aminu Bayero is still the emir of Kano. If Aminu Bayero is still the emir of Kano, he should be at the farthest doing the responsibility of an emir, especially at this time when the police are not with us. The police decided to take side with the Aminu Ado Bayero. So therefore, I think with all humility is a baseless claim that Aminu can never be the emir of Kano under the new law. And he has never been an emir of one united Kano Emirate. He has been,
right, so,
he was appointed
Mr.
emir
Bature,
of 8 metropolitan local governments.
I needed both sides to have their understanding and interpretation of what this is all about. But we'll leave the decision of court to the court. At the end of the day, the interest we're looking for is the interest of the people of Kano. Quick question, and I'm going to ask both of you this question sincerely. I've asked senior advocate, thank God you're a lawyer, Mr. Ikima. One of the things that is going on is the fact that there is, the politicians are involved in the, traditional institution. Is there a way to insulate? From the law I read, Section 5.2 of that law says that, according to the 2019 legislation, that the governor will decide, the rotation, the sequence of rotation when we had the issue of 5 emirates. How do we insulate traditional institutions from governance, I mean, elected officials? 30 seconds each, gentlemen.
Okay, in the first 5 seconds, let me just say that by saying Aminu is the emir of Kano, of course, I mean the new law has not been, has been assented really, but has been put in abeyance. Right. So we are supposed to go back to the to the 2019 law, which has 5 emirates in Kano, which gave us 5 emirates, and which made Aminu emir of Kano. By Kano, I mean Bichi and other emirates, of course, existed. And then that's a quick one. With respect to how to insulate the traditional institution, I am of the opinion firmly that traditional institutions should be insulated. What is happening right now in Kano should serve as an example nationwide as to how politicians can dabble into traditional affairs, and politicize them. If you go to Kano right now, you would see that about 90% or so. I have not done the statistics.
All right, Mr. Ikima, I'm being told my time is, we're totally out of time.
Adherents are supporting Emir Sanusi, and a big chunk of all the opposition, politicians are supporting Aminu.
All right, Mr. Ikima, just a traditional my apologies, please. I have to butt in here. My apologies, Mr. Bature. Just 10 seconds. I'm totally out of time, but I have to be fair to both of you. Mr. Bature, just quick questions, quick answer to my question.
Okay, first, people need to understand that the Kano Emirate predates Nigeria. It's over 1,000-year history. And the reason why the current governor of Kano, His Excellency Alhaji Abba Kabir Yusuf, decided to review the Kano Emirate law with the support of the State Assembly was because of the too much politicization by the previous administration of Ganduje. So he was able to restore the lost glory of the Emirates by reinstating Emir Sanusi so that it can remain well-respected institution as it should be without any politicization.
My apologies. It's not my intention to cut both of you off, but we're totally out of time. I must apologize. I apologize. Sanusi Bature, Chief Press Secretary of the Kano State Government, Abba Ikima, legal practitioner. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the program.
Thank you.
That's it on the program. Thank you for your time and company. Enjoy your weekend. I'm Jeffrey Uzonga.
It's saddening to me that our wildlife and forests are disappearing.